So I got this chucked up because it's a brake jump. I could take the top half off, make it a little closer to work with. I'm not going to reduce any of this video. I'll just speed up some of the more boring shots, skip over the drying time. So we're going to start by working on getting this foam off. The Purex grips, these Lucasi does the same thing. They're not quite as bad. The Purex is got a rubber overlay on this foam. The rubber comes off real easy. The foam does not. So let's see what this gets to. I said I'm just going to speed up some of these boring shots where it takes a while. Hopefully this just kind of peels off. It's starting to. That's a good sign. Really just cut this down. If it gets old and disintegrated, it's really a mess. This is going really nice. So this is awesome. A lot of times you'll have a lot of foam left, a lot of glue left. So there it popped. That's fine. So that's the actual splice. Just dig in there. Start pulling there. You can start seeing it. What I was talking about. The nasty stuff we're gonna have to clean up. That's not bad though. I'd say that cleaned up really, came out pretty good. A couple of foam tufts left here. But we'll get this cleaned up. Just gonna use some sandpaper. That came loose. Probably just gonna use some like 150. Go over it and see if we can get some of this glue. I want to get this pretty smooth. The cleaner the surface, the better the Bondo is going to stick to it. Looks like it cleaned up pretty good. Our next step is putting some protection on because we're going to be ready for Bondo. So I'm going to clean up this dust real quick. Feels good. Use some nice thick painter's tape. We're gonna wrap both these ends. Gonna prevent as much Bondo as possible from getting on the actual finish. Bondo cleans up pretty good and pretty easy. It scrapes right off, but shit, I don't always really spend my time scraping and cleaning off Bondo if I don't have to, right? So, and I'm just gonna leave a little thin black line exposed. Tells me I'm nice and close. And when I peel this off, the Bondo will just pop right off with it. So. Once it's all the way wrapped, just tuck that back so you don't over wrapped. Make sure your finish on these things isn't flaking at all. Painter's tape, pull it off, and last thing you want to do once you get done doing all the paid work is having to refinish a cue because you pulled the finish off. That's that. Next, we're going to mix up some Bondo. Use acrylic. Any hard surface. I like the Bondo. It cleans up easy. It sands easy. It's easy to work with. Dries quickly. There is the odor to be. So well ventilated area, mask, recommended, of course. Basically, I'm going to use a stir stick, king of spades, and that's going to be what we're going to use to smear it on. So I'm going to tilt this a little. Make sure the mixing. Get out a couple of good globs. Smear it on my plate here. Add the hardener, mix it up, and we'll apply it. And this is going to take several. I mean, we're going to 4-ish, give or take. Coats of Bondo, sand it down. Coat of Bondo, sand it down. It's It's a process. It's a process, you know. It's not a lot of work, it's a lot of time, though. Basically, we're applying and then waiting. Sanding, applying, and waiting. So, mix my hardener in there, and we'll get this to a consistent color. Alright, so we're gonna let this dry. We'll come back. We'll take down some high points, and we'll reapply another layer. Hang on. Alright, looks like we're back. Pretty dry. It's a nice thing about Bondo, like I said, about 15 minutes drying time. I'm gonna take some 100 grit, sorry, 150, and just take down some of these high points, so when we apply the next layer of Bondo, it doesn't get holes and gaps. So I'm gonna turn on the dust collector, take that same 150 grit, and you know, we're not looking for a super smooth finish, just some of these high points. Like I said, just so I can get that Bondo into some of those crevices. Alright, mix up another batch of Bondo, apply, and come back. Alright, we're gonna let this dry, come back. See where we're at. We'll take the tape off the next layer and do some cleanup there and see how close we are to getting to the height of the rest of the queue. Probably need one more thin layer. We'll do real good cleanup next time, and then see where we're at. Yeah, let's see where we're at. It's dried up pretty good. Said I'm gonna take this tape off. looking pretty good. So most important piece is the edges. It's where the linen's going to go. You know, if this is a little low or a little high, a couple little, you know, imperfections, the linen covers it. You won't feel it. So as soon as I find I'm going to take a razor blade. We're going to get that to a nice flat surface. And we'll be back. All right, dried up. Use the cutting tool to take off the high pieces. Then sand it down again. See where we're at. A little high there, so I'm just going to take this down a little bit more. Just use 220. I don't want to take a lot off. You want to get as close as you can, but and I can feel that a little bit. That's good. So just clean this up a little bit more. Just a damp wash, paper towel. Let's get this dust off of it. Try to clean these rings up a little bit more. Not terribly important. We're using a little black magic marker on each edge. To cover up any kind of gapping. Make it really not visible at all. My Sharpie. Cleaned up. I don't want any dust around when I'm doing the linen. Get the linen dirty, yuck. And then we'll be done with the butt. So, hang out. All right, we're back. Cleaned everything up. Wiped everything down, washed my hands, we're ready to do the linen wrap. Already taped the ends. What we're going to use is I have an Uhu stick of glue. I'm going to spread this on, a little spray water. Our linen, I'm going to do black with white. Something to hold the linen. I just use a leather glove. You can use a tube of like latex. You don't want that. You're going to spin the linen through your fingers. You don't want it raw. That could go right through your skin. So a razor blade and a little bit of QX to start with. We're also going to use a press. I just use a hard oak scissor press and some spray starch. The customer doesn't want this extremely smooth. Linen's wax-based. You can make that as smooth or as textured as you want. As a break stick, she just didn't want it slipping out of her hand. So I'm going to start. Nice thing about the Q-Smith sleighs is I have a foot pedal that attaches, so I can, and it runs in reverse. So as I can give this a nice slow power to spin this on. So I'm going to start with a little glue here. Spread this on. A couple squirts of water, keep it moist. Make sure you get the ends real well. Turn the glue as you go so you don't get any divots. Alright, so there's the glue. Couple squirts of water just to keep it moist while you're working this. The glue will dry and, you know, start getting tacky in like 15 minutes or so, 10 minutes. So not a lot, just moist. So I'm gonna cut off about, I don't know, 4 inches of the linen wrap. Maybe 6 inches. All right, we're gonna set this aside. We're gonna use this at the end. I use the slip methods. You can use a drill method. Yeah, it's totally up to you. So we're gonna start. This is rolling this way, so that's the way we want this to go on. So I'm gonna slip this around, move it in close to the collar. And we're just going to leave a little bit out and just start pushing this a bit tight. It's overlapped. As I get a little bit in, just starting to push this back as far as I can. As I get like 2 or 3, I'm going to pause and just give this all a good nudge back. Butter knife is really nice for this. Just kind of push this all back. Put some tension on. Use your thumb even. Go this way. Starting point's pretty important. Once we get that all tight, you know, I'm just putting some pressure on as I'm pushing this in. A little bulge, that'll go away when we press it. So once I get about, I don't know, 5 or 6 of these things, I'm gonna cut that. So give this a good push in. Take my razor blade and just put it right up next to where I was and give it a press down. All right, I'm gonna put my glove on. And we're just gonna try to put some pressure, back pressure on as this spins, and we're gonna spin nice and easy to begin with and hope we don't get a lot of overlaps. Oh, there's an overlap already. We just unwind and rewind. It's finding the right amount of back pressure that you don't go over, but you still allow, you know, the tightness. get a good gap like that, just pause. See if you can work it back in. Small gaps you get worked out at the end. But anything large like that, see what you can do to get that push back in. Some winning goes on real easy, some you just do it by hand. It's actually faster. We're on a roll. That's all right. That's good. As I get about half an inch away, a little bit more. So this is where that extra thread's going to come in. What we're going to do is create a loop and put it under, wax it, so that once we finish off, we'll pull the extra thread back through. So I'm going to take a little bit of Q wax here, just put it on my finger, and just wax the middle section of this real good. I want this real lubricated. Create that loop, and we just tuck it under here. We just finish off by hand. Again, you want a lot of, every once in a while you just give a little back pressure pull. The ends are pretty important, in my opinion. Especially around that loop, you can get some separation. As you get nice and tight in here, try and pull that in. Really work that in. I'm just going to overdraw this by a couple inches, so like there. Give a little snip. A little snip. Again, we wax. We're going to wax that entire piece. Where we want it to go. Good and lubed. We're going to put this through this loop. And then what you're going to do is like really give that a good tug while maintaining some pressure on this last piece. You get that in there real good. Get that to where it's about to go in. If you pull slow, you're stuck. So give it a good yank. A couple good yanks. Here it goes. So you get that right through. Now, kind of move these back out. Just our finger. Just kind of creating that space, because what I want to do is cut right in there, and you want to cut straight, parallel to the rest of the threads. You don't want to cut what the hell you just did. I'm looking right down in there, and I see the gap, and I see where that thread is, and again I'm just pushing straight down, cut that thread, and there's a little gap there. All we need to do is push from either side. Linen's it's round when it goes on, so any gaps, which we're just going to see, like I can see one here, we're just going to spread these out on either side to make it smaller gaps. So when we press it, we go from round to flat, so it's going to fill in some of these gaps. But I'm looking for any big ones right now. Make sure we're tight to the edges. It's all budged up a little overlay. It's okay. We can push those back down. So just some quick scans, and we're also going to look for any real bad burrs. For that, breaking off a nice piece, sharp piece here, and all you need to do is just, that's why you want it sharp, real gentle, real gentle. Most of these will flatten down, but any big ones, get them out of there. Next gap, just push those over. Just shave, just a little bit, just a little bit. You don't want to cut through those. There's still a lot of work. Any big ones. Now you're going to feel this is still quite rough. You can hear it. The next step is, we're done. Linen's on, it's secure. We can take this wrap off. It's definitely up on the edges, and that's great because we're going to press that right into it. Definitely want to make sure you can feel it over the edge. Our next step, we're just going to wet this down real good. We'll saturate it. And then we're going to press it. So again, Irish linen's wax based. There's wax already built into it. So we're going to use water to soften it. And then the linen press, the oak, we're going to use to create heat and pressure. Soak in this. A good time is just to go over the edges, get any glue that went on. Just soak it. This will look really dark as I'm doing it. But when it dries up, that white will come back out. Just saturate it. Good and wet, yeah. Now I got some piece of oak. Cut it in half, put a hinge on it. And this is what we're going to use. Just press. Right. Feel it's really gotten quite flat. Don't want to go too close to the edges. You want to go over the finish. You can just take a butter knife and just get a little bit more
Meticulous. Doing the same thing, just putting pressure. You'll feel it heat up on this side, so that's what you want. Definitely want to feel that heat. You know, that is nice. And we're just about done. Last thing we need to do, just a little spray starch. And we'll press it one more time lightly. Spray starch will help stiffen it up. And you can see some of the color come off, but that's all right. We're just gonna wipe out our press here and press it again. Not a ton of pressure. It feels good. Some water. Get some of that starch up. Clean it up. That's it. We're gonna take a look at that. Make sure nothing's like wacky. I don't feel any burrs. Ends feel good. Yeah, we take a look at this now. Give a good light as best I can here. It looks very, very dark. That white will dry out. So what I do is actually have a fan that I'm going to put this on. I'm going to let this dry, but the wrap is done. I just need to put it back together once it's dry. So we'll check in then.